The massive alien ship appeared above Earth Station Alpha like a dark storm cloud. Its hull stretched for 3 kilometers, covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewing window of the space station, watching the alien vessel slowly move into position. Her hands were clasped behind her back, but her knuckles were white with tension. She had been expecting this visit, but that did not make it any easier. "Admiral, the alien ambassador is requesting permission to come aboard," said Lieutenant Davis from behind her. Sarah turned around. Her command center was busy with activity. Officers moved between computer screens, checking data and sending messages. Everyone knew this meeting would change everything. "Grant permission," Sarah said, "but keep our security teams ready." The alien ambassador was unlike anything most humans had ever seen. Zethkri of the hegemony stood nearly 3 meters tall with smooth blue skin and 4 arms. His eyes were large and black like deep pools of water. He wore robes that shifted colors as he moved, and strange devices floated around him. Sarah met the ambassador in the station's main conference room. She had chosen to wear her full military dress uniform, complete with all her medals and ribbons. She wanted to show that Earth was not defenseless, even if the aliens thought otherwise. "Welcome to Earth Station Alpha, Ambassador Zethkri," Sarah said, extending her hand. The alien looked at her hand for a moment, then touched it briefly with one of his 4 hands. His skin felt cold and smooth like touching metal. "Admiral Chen," Zethkri said. His voice came from a device on his chest, translating his words into English. "I bring greetings from the Galactic Council." They sat across from each other at a long table. Sarah had brought 3 of her senior officers with her. The alien ambassador had come alone, which Sarah found either very brave or very arrogant. "The Council has been watching your species for some time," Zethkri continued. "You have made impressive progress since achieving faster-than-light travel 50 years ago." "Thank you," Sarah replied carefully. She had studied everything Earth's intelligence services had learned about the Galactic Council. 12 alien species controlled most of the galaxy, and they were not known for their kindness to younger races. Zethkri activated a device on the table. A 3-dimensional map appeared in the air above them, showing hundreds of star systems. Many were marked with symbols Sarah did not recognize. "The Council maintains order throughout the galaxy," the ambassador explained. "We ensure that all species contribute to the greater good. Some provide resources, others provide labor, and the most advanced provide leadership." Sarah felt a cold chill run down her spine. She had heard stories about what happened to planets that refused to contribute to the Council's greater good. The recordings from Kepler 442 still gave her nightmares. "What kind of contribution does the Council expect from Earth?" Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer. Zethkri's expression did not change, but something in his large black eyes seemed to grow colder. "Earth has a large population of healthy, intelligent beings. The Council has need for such resources." "Resources," Sarah repeated. "You mean people." "The Council requires 7 billion of your people for redistribution across various Council worlds," Zethkri said, as if he was discussing the weather. "They will be given meaningful work and proper housing. It is an honor that few species receive." Sarah's officers shifted in their chairs. Colonel Martinez, her second-in-command, placed his hand near his sidearm. Sarah gave him a small shake of her head. "And if Earth refuses this honor?" Sarah asked. Zethkri touched another device. The holographic display changed, showing images of dead worlds. Planets with their surfaces cracked and burning. Empty space where worlds used to exist. "The Council does not accept refusal," the ambassador said. "Young species sometimes do not understand the benefits of cooperation. When this happens, the Council must demonstrate why cooperation is necessary." Sarah stared at the images of destruction. Billions of lives ended because they refused to become slaves. She thought about her daughter back on Earth, only 12 years old, who wanted to become a scientist. She thought about all the children who deserved to grow up free. "How long do we have to consider this offer?" Sarah asked. 30 standard galactic days, Zethkri replied. "The Council fleet will arrive in 29 days to begin the selection process. We recommend you begin identifying your most suitable candidates immediately." The alien stood up, his robes shifting from blue to purple. "This meeting has been productive, Admiral Chen. The Council looks forward to Earth's cooperation." After the ambassador left, Sarah remained in the conference room with her officers. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Finally, Colonel Martinez broke the silence. "Admiral, we cannot let this happen." 7 billion people, whispered Commander Park, Earth's chief intelligence officer. "They want 70% of our population." Sarah stood and walked to the window. Earth hung in space below them, blue and white and beautiful. Somewhere down there, her daughter was probably in school, learning about the stars and dreaming of exploring them someday. "Martinez, send a coded message to Earth Defense Command," Sarah said. "Tell them to activate Protocol 7. Her officers looked at each other in surprise. Protocol 7 was something they had hoped never to use. It was the plan they had developed in secret, based on the assumption that first contact with aliens might not go well. "Admiral, are you sure?" Commander Park asked. "Protocol 7 means war with the most powerful force in the galaxy." Sarah turned back to face her team. "They are not asking us to join their galactic community as equals. They are demanding that we become their slaves. They want to take our children, our families, our future." She moved back to the table and looked at each of her officers in turn. "I have studied every species the Council has welcomed into their organization. None of them chose to join freely. All of them were conquered, their populations scattered across Council worlds as workers and soldiers. But Admiral, their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours," said Commander Park. "How can we possibly fight them?" Sarah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Because they think we are primitive. They see our short history in space and assume we are weak. They do not know about the preparations we have been making." She activated her own holographic display. It showed diagrams of new Earth ships, weapon systems that did not exist in Council databases, and defensive technologies that had been developed in complete secrecy. "For 50 years, we have been preparing for this day," Sarah continued. "Every human colony, every research station, every military base has been working on projects the Council knows nothing about. We may be young, but we are not stupid." Colonel Martinez leaned forward. "What are our orders, Admiral?" "Send word to all Earth forces," Sarah said. "Tell them the Council has shown its true face. Tell them we have 30 days to prepare for the fight of our lives." She looked out the window again at the beautiful blue planet below. "And send a message to Dr. Wright's team. Tell them it is time to test all those theories they have been working on." As her officers hurried to carry out their orders, Sarah remained alone in the conference room. In 29 days, the Council fleet would arrive, expecting Earth to surrender without a fight. They would learn that humans were full of surprises. The war for humanity's freedom was about to begin. Dr. James Wright stood in the middle of the most secret laboratory on Earth. Hidden deep beneath the Australian outback, the facility had been built over 20 years ago. The official record said it was a geological research station. In reality, it was humanity's greatest weapon. "Show me what we have," Wright said to his team of scientists. The laboratory was enormous, filled with strange machines and computer systems that hummed with energy. Holographic displays showed complex diagrams and mathematical equations that would have been impossible to understand just 50 years ago. Dr. Lisa Kumar, Wright's second-in-command, activated the main display system. "We have been working on 3 primary projects, as you know. The Quantum Entanglement Communication Network is ready for full deployment." Wright nodded. The Council species had always been puzzled by human communication methods. They used traditional radio waves and light-speed transmissions, which meant messages could take years to travel between star systems. Humans had developed something much better. "Our quantum communicators can send messages instantly across any distance," Kumar continued. "The Council's intercept systems cannot detect or block these transmissions because they do not travel through normal space." She touched a control, and the display changed to show a map of human space. Dozens of colonies and outposts were connected by glowing lines. Every human settlement, every ship, every military base is now connected. "When Admiral Chen gives the order to fight, everyone will know immediately." Wright smiled. The Council would expect humanity to be confused and disorganized, unable to coordinate their defense. They would be very surprised. "What about the AI systems?" Wright asked. Dr. Chen stepped forward. He was not related to Admiral Chen, but he shared her determination to protect humanity. "Our artificial intelligence networks are operating at full capacity. We have learned much from studying captured Council technology." The display changed again, showing images of Council computer systems. They were efficient but rigid, following the same patterns for thousands of years. Council AI is like a very sophisticated calculator, Chen explained. It can solve complex problems, but it cannot adapt or create new solutions. Our AI systems are different. They can learn, change, and even surprise us. Wright knew this was humanity's greatest advantage. Council species thought in straight lines, following rules and procedures that had worked for millennia. Humans were chaotic, unpredictable, and constantly changing. What the Council saw as weakness was actually strength. And the biological research? Wright asked. Dr. Sarah Martinez, the team's medical expert, looked excited. This is where we have made the most interesting discoveries. The Council species are very advanced, but they have a weakness they do not even know about. She brought up images of alien biology, captured from Council databases during previous diplomatic meetings. Every Council species has been stable for thousands of years, Martinez explained. They do not evolve, they do not adapt, they do not change. Their immune systems are perfect for fighting the diseases they know, but terrible at fighting anything new. Wright understood immediately. Humans lived on a world full of constantly changing viruses and bacteria. Human immune systems had to adapt constantly just to survive. This had made them incredibly flexible. We can create biological weapons that will not hurt humans but will disable Council forces. Martinez continued. Not kill them, just make them too sick to fight. Good, Wright said. We are not trying to destroy the galaxy. We just want to be left alone. An alarm sounded throughout the facility. Wright looked at his watch. It was time for the daily communication with the Space Forces. Connect me to Captain Rodriguez, Wright ordered. The holographic display showed the inside of a spaceship. Captain Maria Rodriguez appeared, floating in zero gravity. She was aboard one of humanity's new stealth vessels, somewhere in the outer solar system. Dr. Wright, good to see you, Rodriguez said. How are the preparations going? Everything is on schedule, Wright replied. How is the stealth fleet? Rodriguez grinned. The Council has no idea we exist. Their sensors cannot detect our ships, and we have been watching their movements for weeks. Wright felt a surge of pride. The stealth ships were his personal project, using materials and technologies that Council science said were impossible. We have 17 ships ready for combat, Rodriguez continued. They are small compared to Council dreadnoughts, but they are fast and invisible. The Council will not know what hit them. Remember, Captain, we are not trying to win a fair fight, Wright said. We are trying to survive. Understood, Doctor. My crews are ready. After ending the communication, Wright turned back to his team. They had worked for decades to reach this point, always hoping they would never need to use their weapons. Status report on the shield systems? Wright asked. Kumar pulled up new diagrams. The quantum coherence barriers are installed around all major Earth cities and military bases. The Council will expect our shields to work like theirs, absorbing energy until they overload. Our shields work differently. She showed him a simulation of Council weapons firing at Earth's new defenses. Instead of absorbing the energy, the shields reflected it back at the attackers. Council weapons are very powerful, but they are designed to break through Council defenses, Kumar explained. They have never faced technology like ours. Wright nodded. What about the captured Council ship? Dr. Chen led him to another section of the laboratory. Behind thick protective barriers sat pieces of alien technology, carefully taken apart and studied. We have learned much from the Council scout ship that crashed on Mars 3 years ago, Chen said. Their technology is advanced but predictable. Everything follows the same basic patterns. Wright examined the alien devices. They were beautiful, clearly the work of minds far more advanced than humanity, but they were also limited by the thinking of their creators. Council species do not take risks, Chen continued. Their technology is safe, reliable, and unchanged for thousands of years. They build things to last forever, but they do not build things to adapt. And our technology? Designed to break, change, and improve, Chen smiled. Human engineering at its finest. An urgent message arrived from Admiral Chen at Earth Station Alpha. Wright read it quickly, then looked up at his team. The Council ambassador has delivered their ultimatum, Wright announced. 30 days until their fleet arrives. 7 billion people to be taken as slaves. The laboratory fell silent. Everyone had known this moment would come, but hearing it made it real. Dr. Wright? Kumar asked quietly. Do you really think we can win? Wright looked around at all the incredible technology they had developed. He thought about Captain Rodriguez and her invisible fleet. He thought about Admiral Chen and all the brave men and women who were ready to fight for humanity's freedom. The Council thinks we are primitive because we have only been in space for 50 years. Wright said. They think our technology is simple because it looks different from theirs. They think we will surrender because every other species has surrendered. He walked to the main display and brought up an image of Earth from space. But they do not understand what makes humans special. We do not just adapt to survive, we adapt to win. Every challenge makes us stronger. Every problem makes us smarter. Every threat makes us more determined. Wright turned back to his team. The Council has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years by being stronger than everyone else. But strength is not the only way to win. Sometimes being clever is better than being strong. Sometimes being fast is better than being tough. Sometimes being different is better than being perfect. He smiled at his colleagues, these brilliant scientists who had worked so hard to protect their species. In 29 days, the Council will learn that humans are very, very different, and that will make all the difference. The countdown to humanity's greatest test had begun. War Commander Thaxel of the Dominion stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small blue planet that had dared to defy the Galactic Council. His massive dreadnought was one of 12 that had gathered in Earth's solar system, each ship capable of destroying entire worlds. Pathetic, Thaxel growled, his reptilian features twisted in disgust. This primitive species thinks they can resist the Council. Around the solar system, millions of beings across hundreds of worlds watched the live broadcast. The conquest of Earth was being shown as entertainment, a reminder of what happened to species that refused Council authority. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human space station," reported his communications officer. "Put it on screen," Thaxel ordered. "Let us see this human beg for mercy." Admiral Sarah Chen appeared on the main display. She stood straight and proud in her military uniform, showing no sign of fear. Behind her, human officers worked calmly at their stations. "War Commander Thaxel," Chen said. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Coalition." Thaxel laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through his bridge. "Admiral? You call yourself Admiral? Your entire species has been in space for barely 50 years. Long enough," Chen replied. "I have a message for you and your fleet. Speak quickly, human." "My patience grows thin." Chen looked directly into the camera. "Council ships, you have 60 seconds to withdraw from our system or face the consequences." The bridge of Thaxel's ship exploded in laughter. His crew, made up of beings from 6 different Council species, could barely contain their amusement. Across the galaxy, viewers laughed at the ridiculous human who thought she could threaten the mighty Council fleet. "Consequences," Thaxel roared. "Human, I command 12 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. Each of my vessels could crack your planet like an egg." 50 seconds, Chen said calmly. "This is madness." Thaxel turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare the planet breaker cannon. We will show this arrogant species what happens to those who mock the Council." The massive weapon began to charge, drawing power from the ship's main reactor. Similar weapons on the other 11 dreadnoughts also began charging. Enough firepower to destroy a dozen worlds focused on the small blue planet. 30 seconds, Chen announced. "Fire when ready." Thaxel ordered. "Let us end this foolishness." "Sir, weapon is charged and ready," the weapons officer reported. "Fire." Thaxel commanded. The planet breaker cannon unleashed its devastating energy beam, a lance of pure destruction that had eliminated countless worlds. The beam struck Earth's atmosphere and bounced back. Thaxel stared in shock as his own weapon's energy reflected off some kind of invisible barrier and struck the dreadnought next to his. The massive ship's shields overloaded instantly and explosions rippled along its hull. What was that?" Thaxel stammered. "Sir, our sensors show some kind of energy field around the planet," his science officer reported. "But the readings make no sense. The field appears to be reflecting our weapons back at us." "Impossible. No species has that technology." Alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Sir, we have multiple contacts," the sensor officer shouted. "Ships are appearing all around us." Thaxel spun around to look at his tactical display. 17 small vessels had suddenly appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Council fleet. They moved in patterns that made no sense, weaving between the massive dreadnoughts like insects around giants. "Where did they come from?" Thaxel demanded. "Unknown, sir. They were not on our sensors a moment ago." Captain Maria Rodriguez smiled as her stealth ship dropped its invisibility field. Around her, 16 other human vessels did the same. their sleek hulls gleaming in the light of Earth's sun. "All ships, this is Rodriguez," she broadcast on the human quantum network. "Time to show these bullies what humans can do. Remember, we are fighting for every child on Earth." The human ships opened fire simultaneously. Their weapons were smaller than the Council's massive cannons, but they worked differently. Instead of firing single powerful blasts, they sent streams of energy that changed frequency thousands of times per second. The Council shields, designed to absorb steady energy attacks, could not adapt fast enough. The rapidly changing frequencies slipped through the defenses like water through a net. War Commander Thaxel watched in horror as human weapons tore through his fleet's shields as if they did not exist. The humans moved their ships in ways that no sane pilot would attempt, making sudden turns and impossible maneuvers that should have killed their crews. "Return fire. All ships return fire," Thaxel screamed. The massive Council dreadnoughts turned their weapons on the small human vessels, but the humans were too fast, too unpredictable. They danced between the energy beams like leaves in the wind. One of the human ships took a direct hit from a Council weapon. Thaxel felt a moment of satisfaction, but then watched in amazement as the damaged ship continued fighting. Instead of retreating, it flew directly at the Council vessel that had hit it, firing continuously. "Sir, the human ship is on a collision course," his navigator warned. "They are insane," Thaxel said. But at the last moment, the human ship veered away, its weapons having carved a deep gash in the Council vessel's hull. The dreadnought began to drift, its engines dead. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships fought with a fury and determination that the Council had never encountered. They took risks that no rational species would take, made sacrifices that seemed impossible. "Sir, we have lost 6 ships," his communications officer reported. 3 more are severely damaged." Thaxel could not believe what he was seeing. His mighty fleet, the terror of the galaxy, was being destroyed by a handful of small human vessels. "Admiral Chen to Council Fleet," came a transmission from Earth. "You have seen what happens when you threaten our world. Leave now and we will allow your remaining ships to depart safely." Thaxel's pride warred with his survival instinct. He had never retreated from any battle, never shown weakness to an inferior species, but he was also watching his fleet get destroyed by enemies who should have been helpless. Another Council dreadnought exploded as human weapons found its reactor core. That made 7 ships lost in less than an hour. "Sir, we should consider withdrawal," his tactical officer said quietly. "We are losing this battle. We cannot retreat," Thaxel roared. "The Council has never retreated." But even as he spoke, 2 more of his ships were taking critical damage. The humans fought like they had nothing to lose because they truly had nothing to lose. Their entire species faced slavery or death. Captain Rodriguez's voice came across the human communication network. "Target their command ship. If we take out their leader, the rest might give up." Thaxel's ship shuddered as multiple human vessels focused their fire on it. His shields began to fail under the constant barrage of frequency-shifting weapons. "Sir, shields at 20%. His engineer called out. "Sir, 15%. "Sir, shields failing." Thaxel looked around his bridge at his crew. Fear filled their eyes. Fear of these impossible humans who fought like demons and used technology that should not exist. "Signal the fleet," Thaxel said quietly. "All ships and withdraw, sir," his communications officer asked. "Withdraw," Thaxel screamed. "Get us out of here!" The remaining Council ships, badly damaged and demoralized, began to retreat. They jumped to faster-than-light travel as quickly as their damaged systems allowed, fleeing Earth's solar system in panic. On Earth and throughout human space, people watched in amazement as the mighty Council fleet ran away. Children cheered, adults cried with relief, and soldiers saluted their brave comrades who had just won the impossible victory. Admiral Chen stood on her space station, looking out at the wreckage of Council ships floating in space. Her gamble had worked. Humanity's secret weapons, their different way of thinking, their willingness to take risks, it had all come together in this moment. "Admiral," Colonel Martinez said behind her. "We have won." Chen nodded slowly. "We have won the first battle. But the war is just beginning. The Council will not let this defeat go unpunished." She turned to look at her officers. "Send word to all human colonies and ships. Tell them we are no longer hiding. The galaxy now knows that Earth will fight for its freedom." In the depths of space, the few surviving Council ships carried news that would shake the galaxy to its core. For the first time in 10,000 years, the mighty Galactic Council had been defeated in battle. The age of human resistance had begun. The news spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. In cantinas on distant worlds, in government buildings on council planets, in slave camps hidden in forgotten systems, the impossible word was whispered. The humans had won. High Counselor Vexthar of the Ancient Collective paced in his chamber, his 6 legs clicking nervously on the crystal floor. Around him, holographic displays showed reports from across council space. Riots, rebellions, and questions that had not been asked in thousands of years. How? He demanded of the assembled council leaders. How did a primitive species defeat our finest fleet? War Commander Thaxel stood in the center of the chamber, his reptilian form bruised and bandaged. His flagship had barely escaped the battle at Earth, and his pride was wounded even more than his body. They had weapons we have never seen, Thaxel reported, technology that should not exist. Their energy barriers reflected our planet-breaker cannons. Their ships appeared from nowhere and moved in patterns that defied logic. Impossible, hissed Supreme Arbiter Kethmore of the Hegemony. No species developed such advanced technology in only 50 years. I saw it with my own eyes, Thaxel replied. The humans fight like they have nothing to lose. They take risks that would kill any rational being. Their weapons change frequency so quickly that our shields cannot adapt. In a secret facility beneath Earth's Australian continent, Dr. James Wright watched the Council's emergency session through intercepted communications. His quantum listening posts had been monitoring Council transmissions for years, learning their secrets. Interesting, Wright said to his team. They really do not understand how we won. Dr. Lisa Kumar looked up from her analysis of captured Council technology. That is because they think in straight lines. They see our victory as impossible, so they assume we must have some secret superweapon. In a way we do, Wright replied, but it is not the weapons they think it is. On the main display, Ambassador Zethkree was addressing the Council. Perhaps we underestimated these humans. Their technology may be more advanced than we believed. Wright laughed. They still do not understand. Our technology is not more advanced. It is just different. Dr. Sarah Martinez, who had been studying captured Council prisoners from the battle, approached Wright with a data pad. Doctor, I think you need to see this. The information on the pad made Wright's eyes widen. Are you certain about this? I have checked it 3 times, Martinez replied. The Council prisoners all have the same genetic markers. They are not just from old civilizations, they are from civilizations that should be extinct. Wright stared at the data. According to Council records, dozens of species had been completely destroyed over the millennia for refusing Council authority. But the genetic analysis of the prisoners showed traces of those extinct species. They did not destroy the rebellious civilizations, Wright said slowly. They enslaved them and scattered their populations across Council worlds. Exactly, Martinez confirmed. The Council has been lying for thousands of years. The species they claim to have eliminated are still alive, working as slaves and soldiers throughout Council space. Wright immediately contacted Admiral Chen. Admiral, we have discovered something important about the Council. Chen's image appeared on the communication screen. She looked tired but determined, dealing with the aftermath of humanity's first victory. What have you found, Doctor? Wright shared the genetic analysis data. The Council has been enslaving entire civilizations and claiming they were destroyed. There may be billions of beings throughout the galaxy who think their species are extinct, but they are really just scattered slaves. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Doctor, are you suggesting what I think you are suggesting? If we can find these enslaved populations and tell them the truth, they might join us, Wright replied. The Council's greatest strength is fear. If people realize the Council has been lying about everything, that fear might turn to anger. Meanwhile, in the outer regions of Council space, Captain Maria Rodriguez led a small fleet of human stealth ships on a dangerous mission. They were heading to a system that officially did not exist on any Council maps. Captain, we are approaching the target system, reported her navigator. Rodriguez studied the sensor readings. What do you see? Multiple space stations, all heavily guarded. And Captain, there are millions of life signs down there. Rodriguez activated her ship's advanced scanning systems. The readings showed beings from dozens of different species, all working in what appeared to be mining operations and factory complexes. It is a slave system, Rodriguez said grimly. The Council is using conquered populations as workers. She opened a channel to her small fleet. All ships, we are looking at millions of enslaved beings. These people have probably been told their homeworlds were destroyed and they are the only survivors of their species. Orders, Captain? Asked Commander Torres from one of the other ships. Rodriguez thought carefully. Earth's victory had been possible because the humans knew they were fighting for their freedom. But these enslaved beings had given up hope long ago. We are going to give them something the Council never expected, Rodriguez said. We are going to give them hope. The human ships moved carefully through the system, avoiding Council patrol vessels. Their stealth technology made them nearly invisible, but they had to be careful not to alert the guards. Rodriguez's ship approached one of the largest space stations. Using their advanced communication systems, they began broadcasting on frequencies that would reach every being in the system. Attention, workers of all species, Rodriguez broadcast. This is Captain Maria Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Coalition. We have important news about your homeworlds. Throughout the slave facilities, beings stopped their work to listen. Most had not heard an unauthorized broadcast in decades. The Council controlled all communications. Your species are not extinct, Rodriguez continued. The Galactic Council has been lying to you. Your people are alive, scattered across many Council worlds as workers like yourselves. You are not the last survivors. You are prisoners. The reaction was immediate. In factories and mines across the system, enslaved beings began talking excitedly. Guards tried to restore order, but the damage was done. The truth was spreading. Furthermore, Rodriguez broadcast, the humans of Earth have just defeated a Council fleet in battle. The Council can be beaten. The Council can be resisted. Freedom is possible. Council security forces scrambled to stop the broadcast, but it was too late. The message had been heard by millions of beings across multiple worlds in the system. Back on Earth, Wright was analyzing the results of similar broadcasts that human ships had been making throughout Council space. The response is better than we hoped, Wright reported to Admiral Chen. 17 systems have experienced worker uprisings in the past week. The Council is sending military forces to restore order, but they are having to spread their fleet very thin. Chen nodded. The Council's greatest weakness is that they have been lying for so long. They have forgotten that the truth can be a weapon. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from one of the outer colonies, reported Colonel Martinez. The image that appeared on screen showed a being that looked somewhat like a humanoid insect, with 4 arms and large compound eyes. She spoke through a translation device. I am Clicktar of the hive mind species, the being said. My people were told we were the last survivors of our race. But your message says this is not true. If you can prove our species' lives, the hive mind will join your rebellion against the Council. Similar messages began arriving from across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were willing to fight, if only they could be reunited with their scattered peoples. Wright realized the scope of what they were dealing with. Admiral, we are not just fighting for Earth's freedom anymore. We are fighting to liberate the entire galaxy. Chen looked at the growing list of species offering to join the human resistance. Doctor, when we started this fight, we just wanted to be left alone. Now it seems we have started a galactic revolution. The Council made a mistake, Wright replied. They thought their greatest strength was fear. But fear only works if people believe they have no choice. Once people realize they can fight back, fear becomes fury. On the Council homeworld, High Counselor Vexithar stared at reports of uprisings throughout Council space. In just 2 weeks since the human victory, dozens of systems had experienced rebellions. How many ships do we have available to suppress these uprisings? He asked his military commander. We have dispatched forces to 47 systems, the commander replied. But new rebellions are starting faster than we can stop the old ones. The humans seem to be everywhere, spreading their message of resistance. Vexthar felt something he had not experienced in centuries: doubt. For thousands of years, the Council had maintained order through superior force and the fear of extinction. But the humans had proven that the Council could be beaten, and that revelation was spreading like wildfire. Sir, his aide reported, we are receiving surrender requests from 3 more Council species. They wish to withdraw from the Alliance. Refused, Vexthar said immediately. No species leaves the Council. But even as he spoke, he knew that the old order was crumbling. The humans had not just won a battle, they had shattered the foundation of Council power. The galaxy was About 6 months had passed since humanity's impossible victory at Earth. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the new Galactic Assembly, looking out at representatives from over 200 species. The old council chamber had been redesigned, its cold crystal walls replaced with warm materials that welcomed all forms of life. Fellow beings, Chen began, her voice carrying to every corner of the Great Hall. 6 months ago, Earth faced enslavement or destruction. Today, we gather not as masters and servants, but as equals seeking a better future for all. The assembly was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Former slaves sat next to their former masters. Species that had been told they were extinct for centuries now had voices in galactic government. The rigid hierarchy of the old council had been replaced by something chaotic, messy, and wonderfully democratic. Click-Tar of the hive mind species stood to speak. Her people had been among the first to join the human rebellion, and their warrior workers had proven fierce fighters for freedom. The humans taught us that survival is not enough, Click-Tar said through her translator. They showed us that we could choose our own destiny. But now we face new challenges. How do we govern a galaxy that has known only tyranny? It was a good question. The defeat of the council had been the easy part, relatively speaking. The old government had collapsed quickly once their military forces began losing battles across dozens of systems. 3 former council species had switched sides completely. 5 more had declared neutrality, and the remaining 4 were fighting desperately to maintain control of their core worlds. But victory in war did not automatically create peace. Dr. James Wright, now serving as Earth's chief scientific advisor, stood to address the assembly. We must remember why we fought. We did not seek to replace the Council's tyranny with our own. We fought so that every species could determine its own path. Not everyone agreed. Takash of the warrior caste had been one of the Council's military commanders before switching sides. He represented those who believed the galaxy needed strong leadership. The humans defeated the Council through superior force, Takash argued. Logic suggests they should lead the new galactic order. Strength commands respect. A rumble of disagreement arose from many representatives. The humans had deliberately avoided taking control, insisting that all species should have equal voices in the new government. Chen stood again. With respect, Commander Takash, we did not win through superior force alone. We won because we were fighting for something we believed in. The moment we try to rule others, we become what we fought against. Captain Maria Rodriguez, now Admiral Rodriguez and commander of the Liberation Fleet, was dealing with more practical problems. Her ships were spread across the galaxy, helping newly freed populations rebuild their societies and defending against Council remnants. Admiral Chen, Rodriguez reported through quantum communication, we have successfully evacuated the slave camps in the Kepler 442 system, but we have discovered something troubling. What is it, Maria? Many of the freed prisoners do not want to go home. Some have been enslaved for so long they do not remember their original worlds. Others have built families and communities in the camps. They consider their fellow prisoners to be their real families now. This was becoming a common problem. Generations of slavery had created new cultures, new identities that did not fit neatly into the old boundaries of species and worlds. Dr. Sarah Martinez, who had become the Assembly's expert on council biology and culture, had been studying this issue. We are dealing with the aftermath of 10,000 years of forced cultural mixing, she explained. The Council accidentally created hundreds of new hybrid societies. She showed the Assembly images from liberated worlds. Former slaves had built cities that combined architectural styles from dozens of species. Children who were genetically one species but culturally another spoke languages that mixed words from across the galaxy. These people are not broken, Martinez continued. They have created something new. We need to recognize their right to exist as they are, not force them to return to cultures they never knew. The discussion that followed was heated. Some representatives wanted all beings returned to their species' original homeworlds. Others argued for the creation of new mixed colonies. A few suggested that the hybrid communities should be allowed to claim uninhabited worlds as their own. High Counselor Vexthar, now a prisoner awaiting trial for crimes against sentient beings, watched the debate from his cell. His people, the Ancient Collective, had been among the founding species of the original council 10,000 years ago. They will fail, he told his guard, a young human officer. The galaxy is too large, too complex. Democracy cannot work on such a scale. They will beg for the Council's return within a century. The guard, Lieutenant Williams, shook his head. Maybe you're right. Maybe it will be hard. But at least we will fail free. Vexthar's crystalline eyes dimmed. He had never understood species like the humans, who would rather risk failure as free beings than accept success as slaves. Back in the assembly, the debate continued. Representative after representative spoke about the challenges of building a free galactic civilization. Food distribution, trade routes, defense against the remaining Council forces, technology sharing, territorial disputes, the problems seemed endless. Perhaps, suggested Ambassador Zethkri, who had become an unlikely ally after his capture during the original Earth crisis, we are trying to solve all problems at once. The old Council took 10,000 years to build their empire. Should we not expect rebuilding to take time as well? Chen nodded. The ambassador makes a good point. We do not need to create a perfect government today. We just need to create a better one than what came before. Dr. Wright stood again. I propose we establish basic principles and let each region work out the details. No slavery, no forced labor, no wars of conquest. Beyond that, let each species and each world choose its own path. And if some choose badly, asked Takash. Then they choose badly, Chen replied. But it will be their choice. The final vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The Galactic Assembly adopted the Charter of Universal Freedom, establishing basic rights for all sentient beings, while allowing maximum local autonomy. As the representatives began to disperse, returning to their home worlds with news of the new government, Chen remained in the Great Hall with her closest advisors. Admiral, Colonel Martinez asked, "Do you really think this will work?" Chen looked around at the empty chamber where, just hours ago, beings from hundreds of worlds had argued, debated, and finally agreed on a path forward. Honestly, I do not know, Chen admitted. This is the largest democratic experiment in galactic history. It might collapse in a year or it might last for millennia. Dr. Wright smiled. But that is what makes it worth trying. The Council lasted 10,000 years by making everyone afraid to change. We are building something that can grow and adapt. Admiral Rodriguez's image appeared on the communication screen. Admiral Chen, I have news from the Outer Rim. The last Council fortress in the Andromeda Spiral has surrendered. War Commander Thaxel is requesting terms. Tell him he can have the same terms we gave everyone else, Chen replied. Freedom for his people and a chance to join the new galactic community as equals. He will not like that, Rodriguez warned. His people have been the dominant military force for centuries. Then he will learn what we learned, Chen said. That being strong is not the same as being free, and being free is better than being strong. 3 years later, Admiral Chen stood in her garden on Earth, watching her daughter play with children from 6 different species. The girl was now 15, learning science and dreaming of exploring the stars just as her mother had hoped she would. The galaxy was still chaotic. Some worlds had embraced democracy enthusiastically. Others struggled with the transition from authoritarianism. A few had chosen isolation, preferring to develop independently. There had been conflicts, disagreements, and failures, but there had also been incredible discoveries. Species that had been isolated for millennia shared their knowledge freely. Art, music, literature, and science flourished as different cultures exchanged ideas. New colonies were founded by volunteers from multiple species working together. Admiral, her daughter called out, is it true that you once threatened the entire Galactic Council? Chen laughed. I told them they had 60 seconds to leave our system. Were you scared? Chen thought about that day when humanity's survival had hung in the balance. Terrified, she admitted. But sometimes being scared is not as important as being right. Her daughter nodded seriously. I want to be an explorer when I grow up. I want to find new worlds where different species can live together. I think you will, Chen said, looking up at the stars. The galaxy is full of possibilities now. Your generation will discover things we cannot even imagine. As the sun set over Earth, Chen reflected on humanity's journey from a small, frightened species facing enslavement to the catalyst for galactic freedom. They had not sought to rule the galaxy, but they had changed it forever. The old council had